Maybe I should go get the over-ear ones.
Hi, everybody. I am Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen, here tonight with Jennifer Mueller, who is a fellow Kansan and an author. And we've had quite a day because we've been trying to put this together. Here I said, I'm going to come to North Dallas. I'm pet sitting for my daughter, and internet's fabulous. I go to get on tonight, and it won't let me on. Then she goes, I accidentally posted that it was going to be tomorrow night. So it's going to be posted on the Kathy L. Murphy YouTube channel. So as soon as this is over and we have our conversation, it records and downloads, and I'll put it up on the channel, and I'll share it tomorrow night. When everybody comes on board, they'll just be able to see it. So how's everything going in Bellingham?
Oh, not too bad. We are just kind of staying at home a lot and trying to finish a book. And I could do with my husband not here all the time. He's working like 10 feet away at the table because that's his new at-home office. And
so how's the marriage going with you both working at home? I have 4 friends getting a divorce, 4 from the COVID. That's sad. But anyway, I'm kind of at this point in the COVID social distancing year of everything has gotten extremely funny to me. And I went to your site because I thought I'd capture a photo of Jennifer.
Oh, that the wine.
Yeah, I thought I'll capture a photo of Jennifer to show everybody. And then I saw your 2 posts and then your cover photo. I go, finally, somebody who's on the same page as me and has this really distorted sense of humor. So tell me about the chicken joke. Who sent you that, or where did you find that? The chicken.
Oh, I saw that on a group called Women Over 50, I think it's a Facebook group.
Well, that
they're always just posting little jokes about being older.
It explains everything. And I was wanting to know if you got your inheritance yet, or, you know, I did share that.
I don't.
Okay. Well, I did.
I saw that after you posted that, I went and added an update. My uncle is heading to a lawyer.
Oh.
Because he got his letter too.
Really? Well, you know, almost every day I get somebody that says, hi, beautiful. I saw your post and I would love you to friend me on Facebook. And then they have a name.
Oh, no, this was a letter in the mail.
Oh, it was a letter.
This was a letter in the mail from Canada.
You just contact your postal inspector there, and that's what they do. I have a really good friend that was a Kansas postal United States inspector. I mean, for the whole country. She was out of Kansas City, and that's what she did. So you may nail the guy.
It's not even my family, though. There's 1 letter difference in the last name. It's not even my family.
Oh, my. Well, you know, anytime they use your maiden name, though I'm back to my maiden name, so I guess that doesn't work for me. But anytime they use a name or an address, or it's kind of a clue. But I've learned block, delete, do all these things. Now I want you to know that I went and got me a refreshing drink, and it's iced.
Oh, there you go.
It's iced coffee. And then I realized my daughter
iced tea
is out of cream, so it's like stout. So I may just get wired more than anything in the world. But anyway, I think the last time I was with you up in Bellingham, we were doing the Chanticleer Book Festival, and you were put in charge of taking me around Bellingham, which is the most fabulous, wonderful place in the world. I mean, I had a great day with you. I'm still mad I didn't buy the David Bowie jacket. I'm so mad I didn't buy that.
Yeah, the place went out of business, though.
Is that guy even still around?
The shop was completely closed and everything was gone by the time you said, go back and get it for me. It was gone.
It's okay. Because I got home with my broken dish electrical light switch plates. And on my authentic Native American Indian moccasins, which my grandson inherited. And remember that harness thing I bought with all the horses on it? They used to put on show horses.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I got some treats when I was in Bellingham with you. It was really fun. It's beautiful, and I understand that has it been overcast and rainy, or what's it been doing up there?
Yes. Yes.
Which is pretty much your winter.
It was pouring about 2:00 this afternoon when the dog wanted to go out. So.
And it's dark there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's pitch black here too in Texas. You can't see my daughter's backyard, but I am in her little kitchen nook.
It's pitch black at 5:30.
Oh, and I don't know about you, but I'm like a bear. I just want to hibernate when the lights go out. I'm one of these people. When I went to Alaska and it never got dark, I couldn't sleep. So I'm just one of those people. I'm like a sunflower. I just go wherever the head of the sunflower goes. And being a Kansan, that makes sense. So let's give a little background for everybody.
6:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
it's in the summer at 6:30 in the morning. I'm up because the sun's up.
Yeah.
But at this time of year, it's like, okay, 8:30, 9:00, I'll be getting out of bed and.
Yeah.
Just kind of, go with the
sun. You're a sunflower.
So whatever.
So we found out once we met that you have a Kansas connection, as do I. And anyway,
connection.
Yeah, we both were raised there. So tell us a little bit about being raised in Kansas.
50 miles away, actually.
Yeah, I know, isn't it crazy? Us, here it's, I feel like people are sometimes put in your path. And it's amazing to me how many people I'm finding out lived in Kansas, were from Kansas, spent some time in Kansas. And I'm thinking, really? Because, there's not a whole lot going on in Kansas other than, just schools, airports.
It helps if you're born there.
Yeah, it does. But the town I'm from is just become a ghost town. So, but when my class comes back, it's the biggest day of the year. We just had a 45th reunion at the Greenwood Hotel, and we had a blast. It was so much fun. So do you go to your class reunions?
I have not. Every time they've come up, I've been living 500 miles away, 1,600 miles away.
Well, that's the best reason to go, because only the people from out of state.
I mean, my parents still live there.
Oh, yeah.
My parents still live there, so I go back and visit, but
that's good.
I went to go to my specific event.
I got so cabin fevered during COVID that my friend Heidi invited me up to a ranch in Eureka, outside of Eureka. And I went up for a weekend and stayed 9 days, or I don't know. I may have stayed longer than that. I was there a long time, but I had a really good time. And two of my other classmates that I had not seen since high school, Elaine Wallace, she had just retired as a pharmacist in Kansas City. She came down, and then my friend Pam Maynard, who I had seen at our 25th anniversary, class reunion. And Pam is an artist too. She's up in Des Moines, Iowa, and she came down. So we just rode the pastures, and we went looking for forest finds in the forests of Kansas. People don't believe there's trees, but there are where we live. And I got turkey feathers and bodark or hedgehog balls and broomweed, and you know what I'm talking about. And I dried them, mushrooms. The weirdest thing though happened. The first night I got there, she lives kind of up on the hill on a bluff overlooking one of the tributaries of Fall River, running through. And I went out and I said, what in the world? The monarchs were migrating and the trees were
Oh, were
filled.
they?
I did a video. There were just hundreds of monarch butterflies right at twilight fluttering through the trees. I felt like I'd gone into some kind of a fairy world. It was very cool. And then we went out and visited her pet bull, Cornelius, who weighs a ton. And we just had fun out on the ranch and rode around and laughed a lot and drove through the creek in her Suburban and almost tipped over once because she went off the road. The thing rocked and we were going, and she just laughed, oh, no big deal. And I'm going, I'm on the side that's tumbling over. But we just had a good time. But, you know, the kids you grow up with know all your past histories. So it's always interesting because we just pick up where we left off. So let's talk about.
I moved a lot, so.
Let's talk about how many books have you written? It's a lot.
I lost count. I
I
have
know
16 currently in print.
How many?
No, I have 16 that I have currently put in print. Then there's close to that in ebook only, and that is what is out now.
Wow.
In the last, let's see, I started getting published in 2005.
Yes.
I started getting published in 2005, and if you include all of those numbers, it's in triple digits.
Geez, you know.
But I stopped counting.
And your books are kind of all over the place, but you're a research writer. You set your books in
Pretty much.
All kinds of situations, and they're fascinating. They're fascinating to me because of your wide range, and you're so prolific. I mean, where did this all come from? Where did this writing process come from?
I'm still wanting to know that myself. I have a background in forestry.
Yeah,
I have a background in forestry, so the writing thing just kind of came across as a hobby. And let's see, in 1992, I went and spent a summer in a ghost town in Montana. And they had this cabin where I stayed, and snowmobilers use it in the winter. They would leave books behind. And I read one of them, and I was like, oh, it's a good book, you know. Well, I tried reading it when I came back, and I'm going, when I had other options, suddenly it was like, you know, this book's really isn't
crappy
that good.
Book? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It really isn't that good. Yes. And I'm like, I can write better than that. And I just started writing a book.
Yeah.
And I found out most of the history in that book was rather spurious to begin with. And yeah. So like 7 or 8 times later, I've rewritten the same book over 5 or 6 years,
Yes.
rewritten the same book. And each time I would go back to just edit it, it's a completely new book because, I've learned more about that spot And the proliferation came from the fact that one book, I was trying to fit every idea that's in my head at the same time into one book. Yes. And I'm starting to realize that maybe they don't actually go together. So each one of these various ideas that, just a little side idea that I'm trying to shove in there, it ends up becoming a little short story, after the fact, because I'm like, I don't have to write one book. I can write more than one book.
Right.
So yeah, all of those little things became short stories because there's, it was just a small idea. It wasn't a big idea. So, they were short stories. And yeah, it's several hundred later, I think.
My goodness. Well,
but it's over, that's over the last 25 years. Well, oh God, 28 years. 28 years. So it's not like I've put all of them out, in the last 2 years.
But you put a lot of
process
out there. But you're living in Bellingham, Washington. Do you ever get outside? I mean, it's beautiful there. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I could not believe it's like shirt sleeve weather when I was there in June, and there was like no humidity. which here, my hair just
No,
goes to
no.
fuzzy. You know, I never had frizzy
It's the
hair.
opposite. It's the opposite here.
Yeah, I
It's
never
the
had
opposite
frizzy
here.
hair in Kansas.
In
My
the
God.
winter,
Yeah.
in the winter we have humidity. And then the summer comes and the clouds all go away and the humidity just drops. And so for, 3 months of the year, we have blue skies, brilliant blue, no clouds kind of thing.
Beautiful.
And the humidity is nothing. And it doesn't get terribly warm other than maybe a week or two out of the year. And that's like 90. It's not even, it's just, we're not used to it.
What was
And
that? What was that crazy retro hotel it was like one of those old,
that was
the name of it?
the,
It was like one of those that
goodness.
had like a U around a little building and then a pool. What was the name of that place?
See, the problem is that hotel, I can tell you what the old name is because most of the time we lived here, it was the Red Lion Inn or the Red Lion Hotel or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
and then just before you stayed there, new owners bought it and completely modernized it.
It was the coolest place ever. I was the only person there, and Jennifer, we actually had.
I can't think about it.
Before we did the book of it. Wasn't that what happened or something? And we watched. Did we watch Waiting for Guffman? We watched a film.
Is that the one at the summer camp?
No, I don't.
The name doesn't sound right. It was like one at a summer camp.
Okay. Was it a Wes Anderson film? Yes. We watched Moonrise Kingdom. That's what it was.
That sounds better.
Yeah, that was good. And we went on to do an event. But it was the coolest thing because they had like a strip bark tree in the room that you hung your clothes on. And then outside it had gigantic logs that were the chairs. It was very cool, and they had a wonderful
They went full on Pacific Northwest.
I love the Pacific Northwest.
They went full on Pacific Northwest.
When I went to Portland, I almost didn't want to come back home because I fell in love with the people there. They're very cool. And we stayed at another really cool.
Well, Portland's motto.
What is it?
Portland's motto is keep Portland weird.
Well,
keep Portland weird.
Fit right in.
That's their motto.
I fit right in. And I remember downtown Bellingham, I saw a girl on a bike and she had pink or yellow hair, and she had a basket that was decorated with flowers and troll dolls. And anyway, she was like real edgy. And I stopped her and I said, I've just got to know your story. Are you an artist? She goes, I am. And she goes, Bellingham rocks. And I go, yeah, it does. And she goes, no, really, that's what I do. I paint rocks. And she gave me 2 of them. I have them to this day where they paint rocks and they hide them around the city. But Bellingham rocks. And I took a picture of her with her troll.
I'm not sure if she's that edgy. That's kind of normal in Bellingham.
Well, I loved it, and I loved all the galleries and the shops. I really loved Kelly Swordfisher's shop. It's like flowers and plants, and I couldn't get out of there. I just went nuts. I bought crazy things there. But I love Bellingham, and I love that flea market you took me to, and of course that crazy antique store. But so your ideas for your book, where do they come from?
Anything. One of your picks from last year was Killer at the Cimarron Social Club.
Yes.
And I just decided I wanted to write a book in a brothel. So, yeah, I wrote a book in a brothel. And originally I was like, oh, I don't, Paris or something. Next thing you know, I'm writing a Western. And it is set in town just outside, well, it's a ghost town now. It's just outside where I lived for a few years in Liberal. And that doesn't sound right.
I don't know how you wear those things. They make my ears hurt. So,
There we go. That's better.
okay.
Well, I just don't have big enough ears.
Yeah.
And so I live in Liberal, Kansas for a couple years, and that's like the only town in the county.
Yeah.
But I called up my minister father and said, where would be a good town in western Kansas? It's now a ghost town that I could put a brothel to write this story. So my minister father sat there and helped me figure out what would be a good town. And we decided on Archelon,
Okay.
which basically was dead by the 1920s. And it only really had its big heyday right when they were building the railroad down into what was still then the Indian Territory, which is the panhandle of Oklahoma. And once the railroad went further along, even while the town was still going, there wasn't the business to keep it running because everything just, they would load the cattle at the end of the railroad instead of having to haul them up to the towns where the,
Oh yeah,
there were
well,
stops.
we had the train go right smack dab through the middle of my town, right past my house. So, I grew up listening to that blast when it come through. You get so you just don't hear it. But I walked the railroad tracks to school.
And then and so in the 19 teens, the bridge that was right there at Archelon fell down in a flood, and so they straightened the line out because there was this big dip, and at that point the railroad decided it didn't need the big dip and put the bridge up further away. And at that point the town was gone because there was nothing, without the railroad there was nothing there. And so that is where I said a story set in a book.
Well,
but it's all basically,
how'd you do your research for this book? But I'm afraid I ask.
It's not about that.
Okay.
It's not.
I know.
It is basically about, okay, a new woman shows up at a house, and like within a day or two there's a big ice storm, and when they wake up, a woman has died. And as they start trying to figure out everything, the sheriff can't come in because the big ice storm, the railroad can't come in because of the ice storm. So they're trapped with this woman who's died and she is the same demographic as the woman who died. So they're trying to figure out what happens. And it's essentially, if nobody cares about the people who are being killed, what can happen?
Exactly. And that's why the books that I like to pick, I like to have stories that I haven't heard before, told from a different perspective, which you fit the bill. And because so many of the same books are being, formulaic, written over and over and over, and I read them and I know what's going to happen, and I'm just like, I don't even want to finish. But storytelling has always fascinated me, and I grew up in a family of storytellers. Were your parents storytellers? I mean, of course, your dad was your dad and your mom a minister, or just your dad?
Oh, no. My father was a minister, and my mother worked for the welfare system for 30 years. So,
yeah.
Much of a storyteller, though.
I'm
kind of the only one that branched out too.
Connections, problems. It is storming here. It's like,
that could be it.
I don't know what it is. Murphy's Law just follows me wherever I go. It's just always one interesting day after another. But so one of the things I found out about you was that you've done some traveling, and you've worked with going to Africa to build water wells. And I found that fascinating because I've always wanted to go to Africa. I read too many Tarzan books as a kid. So tell us a little bit about that part of your life. Isn't that how you met your husband?
Okay, you might have to repeat that because you paused for a long time.
It's storming. So tell me about.
I caught like
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay. Just tell me about the water wells in Africa.
Well, okay, that started when in 1997 I joined the Peace Corps, and I went and worked in this village in Kenya, just south of Mount Kenya, but in essentially like a desert sort of semi-arid area. And my husband, well, now husband, was stationed about 13 kilometers away in another village in the same district. And yes, that's how I met my husband. And then, so go on 15, 20 years later, well, 15 years later, he's trying to get a new project going through an organization called Books for, or I've volunteered too many times, Engineers Without Borders.
Oh.
And while they were figuring that out, I suddenly goes, well, I keep hearing about this other organization, and there's this new technology for these compressed bricks that basically just use mud and a little bit of cement to bind them together. And, you know, you can build water wells, or not wells, but tanks, you know, really cheaply. And so while he was planning this other project, I was planning mine, and the organization I went through, which was called Water Charity, which specifically works to help Peace Corps volunteers with projects. They came through with their money within a few months. So I went there for 3 months, and then halfway through, he came over so I could introduce him to everybody for his project. And he brought my daughter with me, or with him. And so, yeah, we were all there for a while. My parents came to visit for the first time.
Yeah. That's an education of a lifetime to be able to do that.
I went for 3 months, and that was just about the time we met.
That's fun.
Yep.
Do you plan on ever going back?
My husband is still doing projects with Engineers Without Borders in the same village. And he's gone back once or twice since I was there. So right now I don't know. There's other people that, you know, that are involved with Engineers Without Borders that they would try to like to get to actually go over there and see stuff. Whereas, you know, I've lived there for 2.5 years, so.
Well, and now with
the rush to get back, but
going on with COVID,
it happened.
Shut everything kind of down. So it makes it hard. So I'll be glad when the vaccine comes out.
Well, they're trying to talk about sending the money over to have the project done while we're still sitting here because of COVID, but, you know, not necessarily stopping everything. So
that would be great.
Yeah.
So didn't your daughter go somewhere too, overseas? She went, where did she go?
Nowhere.
I thought she
2
went.
years ago, we took her to England and France, and then last summer I took her to Denmark, Norway.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, good grief. There were 5 countries. Denmark, actually, how about I just tell you the cities? We went to Copenhagen, Oslo, God, my memory's going, Reykjavik, Tallinn, and did I say Oslo already? I said Oslo already. There was another one. There were 5 of them. But she is planning on trying to go to Romania to dig up skeletons from churches that have gone out of use, and so there's graveyards just sitting in the middle of nowhere. And so they're trying to collect all of these scattered graves and put them in proper churches again because of wars and stuff that have knocked down the churches themselves.
Wow.
If that explains it all.
It's kind of fascinating.
And she was supposed to do that. She was supposed to do that last summer, but it's been postponed till next summer.
Yeah. So is she an archaeology major?
Yes. Archaeology and classics.
Yeah. Because my daughter went to Belize on a dig. She was a history major, but her emphasis was in archaeology too. And she got to go through the New York Explorers Club and the University of Texas. And there were kids, college kids from all over the United States, from Yale and Harvard and everything. And they lived in these metal shacks that kind of had open space at the top kind of for airflow, but they also let in a lot of creatures, lizards and
I'm sure.
yeah. And what was amazing is they were kind of set up in these pastures, and I just didn't think of Belize as having pastures land. You know, I'm thinking of, you know, Mayan on down to Guatemala, these Mayan cultures and everything. But evidently, they do a lot of farming, and there's a lot of cattle. And she said they ate really good. They had people cooking for them that
That's good.
all fresh vegetables and stuff. And then there was a really poisonous snake that if it gets you, you're gone. That freaked me out when I heard about it later. But did you ever have any incidents when you were traveling abroad that was life-threatening or?
I was 9 blocks away when the American Embassy in Nairobi was blown up.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Did you hear?
That's pretty close.
That was probably the closest.
I'm going to have to shut this door because I don't know. I can barely hear you. It's raining so hard. Just a second.
Oh.
I mean, it's raining cats and dogs and kittens and puppies and fish, and it is storming here. So what a night. Here with Penelope that's giving me the evil eye from across the room going, are you on that crazy Zoom thing again? So do you have any pets at the house with you?
We have a 13-year-old beagle who's
Oh,
starting to feel his age.
well, you know, I love animals. So I was on here today with Mandy Haynes, who's going to host my girlfriend weekend, my virtual girlfriend weekend with me. And I didn't know it, but she had a puppy asleep on her lap when she was talking to me, and he popped up and it was a Jack Russell. And I'd had a Jack Russell and I just loved them. And she said she had 2 of them. And yesterday when she let them out, one lit into a possum they found. You know, they get very territorial.
Uh-oh.
I imagine the beagle is probably at the age where it's not going after stuff much these days. So, but
beagles live by their stomach.
wow.
So he doesn't go after animals, but he'll go after any smell in the house. He will.
Any dish, he'll steal the turkey leg. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, I'm in a tornado warning. Go to a basement right now. I gotta go. I'm not kidding you. Emergency alert. It's
Okay.
tornado. So we will catch up later. Murphy's Law. So
Okay.
I'll post this and we'll do this another time. So watch the news and
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, I gotta go. That's
Don't worry about it. Go to the basement.
Well, there's no basement, but I'm going to the call.
Okay, go wherever you're supposed to go.
I know where to go. We'll talk to you later. Love you. We'll talk to you later.